Hello and welcome back to the Uncensored Self, where I am excited to have a fun conversation today with my friend Amy Gernaat. And I'm going to let Amy introduce herself. You guys know I don't like bios, but I do want to tell you why I invited Amy on the show today. So Amy and I met on the internet a million years ago, like I do most of my friends. And Amy has been really adamant about the body and women and their bodies and what our body is capable of. And so while I spend a lot of time and energy thinking about the lies we've been sold as women about like careers and happiness and money and what we're capable of and all that, Amy feels the same level of passion about women and the lies and the bullshit that we have been sold about our bodies. And so I just thought it would be really cool because a lot of the women, and I shared this with Amy before we hit record, and then I'm going to let her introduce herself, was a lot of you listening to this right now are either in perimenopause or menopause or in some phase of it. And, you know, if we just listen to what we hear on the internet, it's pretty dark out there. But Amy tells me that is not at all true and it doesn't have to be. And so I'm hoping that she can shed some light. So Amy, hi. First of all, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I am so looking forward to this conversation. It's going to be very fun.
I know, right? Well, let's start with, will you just kind of tell everybody who you are, your story, like how you landed doing this work? Because it is, you know, when there's people when you're like, you're just doing what you're supposed to do, like Amy is doing what she's supposed to do in the world. And it's so lovely. So will you tell us a little bit of your story?
Absolutely. So, hello, everyone. I am so happy to be here and have this conversation that I am so passionate about. I have been working with women's bodies for over a decade now in various forms of holistic health and kind of like progressed from nutrition and kind of the clinical kind of thing to nervous system health. And over the past several years, I've just been developing my work specifically for this midlife group of women that are going through menopause, perimenopause, because there's a lot of confusion out there. There's a lot of bullshit,
Right.
and it is creating a tremendous amount of fear and confusion. Women don't really know what's going on. They don't really know what to do. And what they're being sold from the mainstream is basically like your body is out to get you. Menopause is coming for you. This is a
Right.
disease. Your body's going to just self destruct. Your bones are going to start breaking. Your brain is going to fall apart. And your body doesn't know what to do with this because we just lived too long, which
Mm,
is like the most insane thing to me. Because first,
right.
I'm like, I see the body as intelligence, right? Like, I
Of
don't just
course.
see this as like some random meat suit that just does its own thing. And we get what we get and that we don't have anything to say about that. Well, our body is intelligence. It is designed for all the phases of life we're going through. It's designed for
Mhm.
puberty. It's designed for pregnancy. It is designed for menopause. None of those are pathologies. None of those are medical crises. All of them are a
Right.
natural design of the feminine system to move through the
Yes.
different phases of life that we are here to live. So, this technically is kind of a second puberty. I've heard it called that, and I would
Mhm.
agree with
Sure.
that. It's this liminal space in between like the mother, the nurturer, and the elder, the crone. So we're kind of in this wise woman. I heard Jane Hardwick Collins lately called this sage essence. So like we have
Oh,
adolescence, we have matrescence, and now we have sage essence, which I think is beautiful. And I absolutely love it. So the line that we're being sold is incredibly limiting for a woman. It's like your body's
right.
just going to self destruct. You have to go on
Right.
hormones. I literally heard a prominent voice in the menopause industry essentially say if you do not go on the estrogen patch and on hormones, you are going to die a slow and painful death postmenopause. Like those were the exact words that were used. And I had to actually go back and listen to it to make sure I got the appropriate context of what was being said because it was such a shocking
Wild.
statement to me. But
Right.
it's the medical system, right? They see it as everything a
Yeah.
symptom is a disease. Every symptom is a pathology. And I see symptoms as information. It is data.
Yes.
It is communication. It's your body's
Mhm.
language to say, this is how I'm experiencing your life. If you don't like the experience I'm giving you, you are going to have to make changes. And it is the
Yes.
same in menopause. It's not
Mhm.
just your hormones. Your hormones are
Right.
one piece of what's going on. Yes, our hormonal system is changing. We're moving out of the role of fertility into the role of the wise woman. So that is happening. There's pruning going on at the level of the brain. That is happening. But here's the thing that really drove this work home for me and why I am so passionate about this is not just a hormone story. There are cultures around the world being studied right now, whole cultures of women who have none of the experience of menopause that the Western world has. None. They do not have the
Right.
symptoms. They don't even have a word for menopause because it's just not something that they're experiencing. And so understanding that the hormone only story for me just falls apart because they
Right.
have the exact same fluctuations in hormones. They have the exact same cessation of the menstrual cycle, none of the problems. So, right there,
Mm,
it says it is how we are living and whether we are the way we're living honors the biology or not. And we clearly
right.
know, as with your conversations about business, it doesn't honor the
Right.
feminine body. It doesn't honor how the body, how we are designed to work. And that right there really propelled me into a deeper level of this conversation because I'm like, everything you're being told is a lie. And that
Yeah.
lie is keeping you from the deeper connection and understanding of your own body and your own power through this process.
Yeah. I didn't know that, but it makes sense because there's a lot of cultures that are being studied that don't do capitalism the way we do, right? And they are having a very different experience
Right.
of life and exchange and hierarchies and jobs and money and all of that. So then is it environmental? Is that what you're saying? That like the I guess the severity of which we're experiencing these symptoms, is it just I mean, you know me, I'm a universal law girl. Like, if we expect to feel like shit when we turn 40, then, like, we're just naturally gonna make that happen. Like, is it that, or is it the stress and the chaos and the drama, or a combination of all of that, Amy, that you think the reason why we're having this in our world, or we're having this experience in our
Absolutely. It is a combination. So if we
Okay.
start back, like when a woman, when a young girl goes through puberty, that the story that we're told at puberty is like, number one, it's taboo. We don't talk about this. It's dirty. It's shameful. Then your body, you're going to be in hell every month. Like, this is what girls are
Right.
told. This is going to be terrible. You're
Yep.
going to have all of these symptoms. You're going to feel awful. You're going to feel like shit every month. And your body's doing this
You're gonna be
to
mean
you,
to people.
right? So
Yeah,
that's a
you're gonna
really
be mean to people, and your head's gonna spin off and all that other shit. We're just told that that's normal, and that's the way it is. Yes.
yes.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Keep going.
Exactly. So from day one, as our
Right.
bodies move, from day one, as we make these changes, this is the story we're being told. So we're being told this is
Mhm.
what to expect. And then there's all the horror stories of pregnancy, which again is another
Right.
natural, like the body knows how to do birth, like the body knows what it's doing. But there's all these horror stories. And that's not to negate women who do have crises during this time, but it is a natural process. And so we go into that phase thinking, oh my gosh, am I going to have all these problems? Am I going to have a medical emergency? So we're very fearful of our bodies in the process, even though, again, the body knows what she's doing. She's literally
Right.
designed for this. So by the time we
Mm.
get to menopause and we hear all the things about menopause, like you said,
Right.
universal law, like you're going to be a
Mhm.
crazy bitch, you're going to be out of control, your moods are going to be all over the place, you're going to be exhausted, all the things. And again,
Your sex drive is
not
gonna
to negate a
plummet.
woman's
You're gonna gain
actual
weight.
experience. Yeah, sex drive. Yep,
Mhm.
exactly. Like
Yep.
all of these things are going to happen to you. Just get ready. Like how many times have you heard, "Oh, just wait till you hit 40.
Yeah.
Just wait till you hit 45. The world is going to end."
Yes.
Right? Like
She's
even just the
okay.
deterioration, look, oh, you're just going to be sore. You're not going to be able to get out of bed without aches and pains. Like this is just what you're supposed to expect. And so it's just drilled into us that this is supposed to be the experience of the body. And my thing on this part of it is like nobody gets to determine what you experience in your body but you. But to do that, it takes radical responsibility and being willing to say no to a very popular story. Right? Because when you start talking about this or you start saying that HRT is not the answer to everything, and it's not, I am not black and white on the issue because I think that's a waste of energy, but it's not the answer to everything, nor is every single woman designed to be on medication for the rest of her life. Because yes, even bioidenticals are medication. It is not some natural estrogen they pull out of your body and put back into you. That's not what that is. It is medicine. So we're not designed for it. And people get very angry about this conversation. And that is also by design. It's a very hot topic. They get very angry. They're very identified with being on
Yes.
hormones as part of the identity, which is very strange to me. Like talking about this patch,
Yeah.
like it's just this buddy. And I've seen women call themselves like patch buddies. I'm like, what? What are we talking about here? And so it's putting all the power into the patch and not into the body. Like the body is just a broken down thing, and you have to have these things in order to survive. And it's not the truth. The other
Mm,
piece, like you were saying, a combination is that what I see when women get to this phase of life, let's say like 45 into their 40s, is that they are very
yes.
depleted by living exactly like what you're saying. It's the stress, it's the
Mm,
schedule. Like we have a
yep.
world that's been designed around the way a man's body works. And a man has a certain level of testosterone for work and drive and ambition. They are also only a 24-hour circadian cycler, whereas we have the 24-hour plus the 30-day infradian. We are designed to be different from week to week, not show up in exactly the same energy every day. They are built for that. We are not, but we have tried to stick ourselves into a system
Yeah.
and plug into it that our bodies were never designed for. So it's glitching, right? Like it's
Hmm.
sparking and shoot, like you're trying to plug
Yes.
in a plug from something in the US and you're in the UK and you're trying to plug it in and
Yeah.
it's not working. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. And if you try hard enough, you're going to get zapped. And that's essentially what we've done. And so women get to this age and they're just they're exhausted, and then the body starts getting really really loud because she's like, "Hey, I have found workaround after workaround after workaround for the last 30 years to keep you going in this world. I have this big
Yeah.
job to do of reorganizing the way your system works, and I've got nothing left in the tank to make that happen. So now I'm going to have to pull from the depths of your resources, which means that your mood's going to change, your weight's going to shift, your sleep patterns are going to be disrupted, all of those things. And it's not because she's being a jerk, it's because she has work to do and there's nothing left for her to do it with. And it's
Yeah.
those years and years of being in this mode and not being able to honor when we need to rest, when we need to take a break,
Right.
because we've decided that productivity is power. And we don't
Right.
understand that being on all the time for a feminine system does not work, but that does not mean that it's wrong or a weakness. There's power in
Right.
the way that it's designed, in the way that we're supposed to create. But we've lost the wisdom that's not being passed down from generation to generation anymore. We don't have the
Yeah.
matriarch saying, this is what's coming, and this is how you prepare your body, and how you take really good care of yourself, and how you come together in communities of women, sharing that experience together, because that is also part of how you have a healthy menopause. It's not to do the
Yeah.
lone wolf thing. Community is
Right.
required
I mean, it's required for us as women across the board, right? Like we are, when you think of again going
across the
back
board.
to how we're wired, right? We're wired for connection. We're wired for community. And not to say that men aren't, but it's more of our natural tendencies, right? Men can do it, but it is a natural tendencies of ours, right? It's the nurturing, it's the connection, it's the
Exactly.
the hunters versus the gatherers, right? We're the gatherers. We're the ones, gathering, working together, bringing people together, sharing and splitting up resources. And that was, so I was telling Amy before we hit record, I am teaching business therapy to a group of realtors in person, which is so much friggin' fun. But they were talking about menopause and perimenopause. And I said to them, guys, I'm energetically unavailable for menopause. Like, it's just not a thing. And they're like, well, you can't, your body. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let me explain what I mean by that. I'm going to explain this. I'm going to let Amy kind of anchor this in for you. Like, I'm not saying exactly what Amy said. My body is going to do what my body needs to do. It is what it is designed to do. It's supposed to change. What I am not going to do is start optimizing for something that's not a problem, right? I'm not going to start it's just I just don't buy into the fact that exactly like you said, that my body's turning on me. It's like, yeah, it's going to happen. It happened when I had babies and it happened it's going to happen, but it doesn't have to be your identity. It doesn't have to destroy your life. It doesn't have to dictate how you show up in the world. And, it was met with kind of mixed, like, is that an option? And then, I told Amy this before we hit record, like, yeah, it is an option. Just like we talk about here energetically, when it comes to your business, like, is it an option to step out of the system and still be successful, right? Can I step out of the rules and still have a thriving business and career? I guess my question to you, Amy, is can we step out of that narrative and or how do we step out of that narrative and reconnect with our bodies? Because, my work is always, I say it's mind, body, soul, right? Like I work on the soul, right? Like I help women reconnect with their soul. You help them reconnect with their body. And all three parts have to be on board for a really thriving life. So will you address that for us? I threw a lot at you. I'll let you take it where you want to.
Yes. No, that was so good. And I love that, like, the energetically not available, because you're energetically not available for the story that you're being told you're
Yes.
supposed to experience, right? It's like, no,
Mhm.
wait a minute. I am the author of my experience. I'm the author of my life. I'm the creator of my life. I create my own experience and I'm responsible for my own experience. So, like you said, the body is going to change. That's the design, because we are moving from, which I have always loved the idea of, when you have a menstrual cycle, there's a lot of that creative energy that's going out every month. There's a purge, there's that energy going out. Once you're postmenopausal, all of that energy is yours. It's no longer going out, right? Because the way you even nurture becomes different postmenopausal. So it's a lot of nurturing outward energy premenopausal, and it's a lot of more internal holding of the wisdom and energy so that it is available for whatever it is that you're doing in the world. So when you go through this process, it is your job to decide what this is going to look like. And the thing that's frustrating about the story being told is that they say everything basically is now menopause. There's like 150 symptoms that they have rolled under the menopausal umbrella. And I'm just going to tell you right now, that's not even possible. That's just complete and total bullshit. Like, you're living an entire life that is multifaceted, multidimensional. And to think that it's just this one thing is the driver of everything
Right.
doesn't even make logical sense. It doesn't make biological sense. It's just fucking stupid, basically. So saying it's just perimenopause or it's just menopause, what it does is it almost makes it like it's not a part of your body. It's almost like
Mm.
separating the two. Like, here's you, and here's menopause over here, and it's beating you over the head with a baseball bat.
Yeah,
But it's not part of really
totally.
who you are. It's your body's going haywire. And I've heard this said multiple times. The body doesn't know what it's doing. It just starts going crazy, and it's out of the blue, and and none of that is the truth. Like, there are tells moving up to when the body gets really loud that something is happening and something is changing. But when they say it's just perimenopause, it does a couple of things. Number one, it disempowers you because it makes you feel like there's this thing that's happening that you don't get a say in and that you're not participating in, even though it's in your own body. So you are the ultimate participator in it. But it kind of removes the power of the partnership there. And so then a woman feels like this is happening to her body. So you actually start to get out of your body more and more and more because you want her to be quiet. So that's when you start bringing in
Mhm.
all the things that are going to muzzle it and going to make her be quiet. And that's, like the HRT conversation. And yes, some women do have help with their symptoms. Some women have no help with their symptoms. Some women feel absolutely terrible on it. And essentially, what it does is that it puts you in this kind of what I see it as like a suspended animation. So you're actually
Mm.
stopped now in between the end of the menstrual cycle and the middle of the luteal phase. So you don't cycle anymore.
Okay.
You're actually kind of stuck there. And
Ugh.
never before in history have we done this outside of the pill, which does something similar. It's different mechanism, but we've never done this before. So we don't really know what the long-term ramifications are of shutting up the natural
Mhm.
process. Because again, they're looking at it
Right.
like it's a disease process, that it's not a natural process, that the body doesn't know what it's doing and it's going
Mm.
crazy. So it's like, okay, well, we need to shut it up then because we need everyone to stay 35 and their hormones working like they were 35 and be in this space, which goes to the whole anti-aging conversation as well and all the bullshit
Right.
around that your only
Right.
prize is when you're 35 years old and there's no prize as you age and your value goes down, which is also bullshit. So all of that goes together with the menopausal conversation. But I think the biggest thing there is that perimenopause is not a separate thing. It's not just perimenopause.
Mm.
Your body is always and in all ways telling you what experience it's having of your life. And if you say it's
Yeah.
just perimenopause or just menopause, and I actually think perimenopause is just a bullshit word we've come up with now to put a bunch of symptoms underneath so that people can be medicated.
Right.
But if you lump everything under that, what happens is now you don't go exploring yourself. Right?
Right.
Like, you don't get to, like, learn the depths of who you are and maybe there's a
Mhm.
job that you're in that you're very good at, but you're tapped out and there's actually something more that you wanna create in the world, but you're scared to do that, and so you're ruminating it and thinking it, and your body has to make a chemical response to that. It's not inert. It's not
Yeah.
just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
Or maybe, maybe
Yes.
you're in a relationship and you're really unhappy, and it doesn't mean that it's like this terrible, awful thing, but you're just done. It doesn't match the woman
Mhm.
that you've become or vice versa. It doesn't matter. And you're unhappy, but you're staying because the risk of leaving
Mhm.
feels really big. Well, your body has to process
Right.
that. Your body has to hold all of the feelings and all of the emotions. And so if you're at 45 and you've got these things going on behind the scenes, ladies, it's not
Yeah.
menopause. It's your
Right.
soul saying to you through the body,
Yes.
I need you to move. I need you to move
Yes.
from this place. I need you to move out of
Yes.
this relationship. I need you to move into this thing. Stop fucking around. There's no time
Yes.
left. Stop fucking around.
Yes.
Make the move because I, the body, am paying the price of this. Go now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, that's so good because I mean, like, again, I talk about this through the career phase, but it's the same thing, right? It is that same exact thing.
It's
That
the same
fact that you
thing.
get up every single morning and your chin, your shoulders are in your ears and everything on your to-do list makes you want to throw shit at the wall and you're angry all the time. That is your soul telling you this is not for you. You are on the wrong
Yes.
path. And we take it as a sign to fucking double down and try harder. We're like, let me just wait a minute. Just hold my beer. I
Yes.
can do this. Right? Instead of hearing what it is. But what you're just saying is kind of like, I'm changing I'm changing as you're speaking because I'm like, no, this is the body too. Like, this is really serious. This is going to manifest into something. And that's the thing is, I think we have missed the point that this is going to manifest in something big in your body if you don't pay attention, right? Like, if you don't pay attention to the dissatisfaction in your life, if you don't pay
Yes.
attention to what your body is saying to you, it's going to end up in more than burnout, right? Like, it manifests in the form of arthritis and
Yes.
cancer and all sorts of wild and crazy shit. Can we talk about environment?
Yes.
Like, what are the environmental diseases and stuff that we're torturing our body with our desire to do more, be more, and look younger while we do it? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the biggest torture, of course, is Botox and what you're doing to your face with Botox. But there's multiple layers of this, right? And all the fillers and all
Yeah.
the things that you're putting into your body to
Mm. Yep.
freeze. And this is a very important word for anybody familiar with nervous system work, to freeze
Yep.
your face in a certain place. So this also, we know that have been studies done with children who are around women who have Botox and who aren't expressive. Because we know that, especially small children up to the age, I think, of 2 or 3, the nervous system is wiring based on the social interactions that they're having with those around them. And a lot of that is through expression. And so if there is no expression, then the nervous system doesn't develop. We also our nervous systems respond to that as threat because we are not seeing a real human face with human expression. So we find our nervous system, before we even respond to that, is already seeing there's something wrong here. This feels dangerous. We don't know what this is. So there's that aspect on a social level. And then the physical
Right.
level, that can stay in the body for decades. There was a really good study that came out last year, and I think it was a plastic surgeon that did it, who, because they tell people that, oh no, it goes out of your system in such and such amount of time. Well, he was finding Botox. He found Botox in a woman who had done it one time 15 years earlier, and it was still in her body. The Botox was. So this is botulinum toxin. This is a toxin. And I've heard people talk about getting their tox shots or having toxin parties. And I think that is insanity. Number one, I don't
Bizarre.
understand that at all. Like you're having a party and putting toxin in your body. I don't really get that whole conversation. But when you do that, there is a long-term effect. And we don't know what all
Yeah,
the long-term effects are that. And of course, it's going to vary from woman to woman. And so we
of course.
have the social aspect, we have the nervous system aspect, and then we have the toxin aspect of those things remaining in your system and creating problems. So it's not
Mhm.
a neutral substance. And our
Right,
desire also to look young and not go through the aging process, whatever that looks like for
right.
each woman, is this, almost like an internal desire of the hatred of the feminine form long term, right? It's like we're not okay with the body looking a little different. We're not okay with the lines on the face. We're not okay. It's like we want to be chiseled in stone and never move from there. And
Right,
that's not living. There's no aliveness there. There's no
right.
expression there, right? There's no movement of the body and the way the curves move and the way that, everything just kind of, undulates through when a woman is dancing and she's just really in her body. Like that all goes
Mm,
away. And so we're then locked into this, the youth is the prize. We have to use all of these things and all of this toxicity in order for the body to maintain, and then pretending that it's just menopause creating our symptoms.
right.
When if you've been putting those things into your body, you actually have no way of knowing how much that's playing into how you feel.
So I'm going to ask a weird question. This is off the cuff. So I got Botox or some version of it twice. And I what I'm noticing is the correlation of when that happened was right when my life was kind of falling apart, when things were really unsettled, my business partnership went south, all those different things. And I'm hearing you talk about like the nervous system and all that. And I really, and I want to, that's kind of how I want to, if I want to take this conversation that way for a few minutes, if we can. And like the first squat is like, those two things related, right? Like, was that related when I was
Mm.
things became the loudest as far as the struggle and the good enoughness and all of that, like, it's interesting how all of that was happening at the same time, and that was again, I did it twice over the course of a year and a half, and I haven't touched it since, and it was just an intuitive thing that was just like, "No more, I can't do this." Are those 2 things tied together? Could they be tied together? Is that a
Yeah.
weird question?
It's really not a weird question. And I mean, I don't know that there's like a singular answer there, but when you look at it in the context of like, okay, everything was going crazy. And,
Yeah.
by doing the Botox, was that essentially putting you into a bit of a freeze state to get through it?
Well, that's what you said, freeze, and I was like,
Right? If you make
"Shit."
it just really simple. Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah. I mean, it
Wow.
really it really could have been part of the process, and maybe it was part of the process that was actually beneficial for you going through that. You never know, right? Of like
Right,
putting
right,
yourself into a freeze state to save you, to hold you through the process of going through something that was very intense.
right. Interesting.
So,
I wanna
yeah,
talk
it
the last
absolutely could have
topic
been
I
correlated.
wanna
Like, "Let me try this."
Yeah. Wild, weird. But I want to talk about the nervous system because that's one of the things that I do talk to my clients a lot about. And I'm always very clear like, I'm not a doctor. It's not my area of study. It's just if we are energetic beings, which is what I teach, right, as the energy game and universal law, it makes sense that the nervous system is what's firing and wiring our energy, right? Like I always use the example of like a Wi Fi signal, like your Wi Fi signal is only as healthy as your nervous system. So I always encourage them to find the nervous system regulation tool that works best for them. So I don't, like I said, I'm not a doctor. I don't prescribe. I say these are the tools I've used, find different tools. But how much of the question I guess I have about dysregulation is a couple of questions. Like, I think it's the onslaught of information. Like, we were never supposed to take in information the way that we are today, right? Like, is that why we're all so fucking dysregulated and overstimulated? Because we were never supposed to get this many messages in a day and have this much access to information and be connected to this many people at one time?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge piece of the puzzle, really truly. So
Yeah.
it's like you also see then the disconnection from the natural world, right? Where
Right.
if you think about it even just from like a Wi-Fi perspective, right? So
Mhm.
Wi-Fi is now 5G, we're about to roll out 6G, and the earth resonates at like 120 hertz. I think that's a little off, but it's somewhere close to that. So we're talking about 120 hertz, not megahertz, 120 hertz, and then we're surrounded by 5G, right? So right there, if we just look at the perspective of that and being in that energy, like the body is taking that in all day long because it's all around us now. It has to respond to that. And so it's like being on a live wire all the time because it's constantly like penetrating the system. So there's the disconnection from the natural earth. That's why when someone talks about grounding, what they're really talking about is when you touch the earth, there's an exchange of electrons happening because we're electrical beings. And so what that does is just like you have a ground in an electrical circuit, it's operating the same way for us. It's grounding us, which means it's calming the electrical system so the electrical system can work properly. So that's the electrical system is going to go through the nervous system, it's going to go through the fascia, it's going to go through the structured water in the body, into the cell, into the mitochondria, back into the water, the whole 9 yards, right? Like there's an electrical communication happening here. So we have the Wi-Fi conversation, and then we have the conversation about all of the information coming in, right? Like that's
Mhm.
if you think about even just opening your phone and scrolling and the amount of energy intake you have in the scroll, right? So
Right.
first you've got the screen in front of you that behind the scenes, it's actually vibrating behind the scene. You can't see it, but there's a movement that's happening even if your screen is stationary. Like right now as we're looking at our screens, it's pulsing behind the screen, behind the scenes. We can't see it, but there's a pulse happening. So our body is picking up on that. Then we talk about the blue light effect, where you're looking directly at blue light all day long, which is not a natural in the whole spectrum of light. So we're getting that, hey, it's 2 in the afternoon all day long, which then messes with your
Mm,
cortisol and your other hormones and the signaling that's responsible there. And then the amount of data that we're trying to take in and consume and process. So when I
right.
see a lot of brain fog and a lot of brain fatigue, one of the things I always want to know is what their social media or online consumption is. Because they're taking in so more
Mhm.
information than the brain can process. You're taking it in snippets, whereas throughout history, we've
Mhm.
only taken it really in long form. And so now we're processing these little
Mhm.
snippets of information, but also these little snippets of information are disconnected from each other. So we're not taking in snippets
Right.
of information along the same lines of a topic. It's this topic, then this topic, then this
Right.
topic, then this topic. And it's little pieces that we're having to try to consume and digest. Essentially, we're trying to digest this energy. So that is also a big part of the nervous system issue is that we're inundated by it. So it's not just you
Right.
really do have to have hygiene around these things. I know I'm working on my own tech
Right.
and social media hygiene right now
Yes.
because I feel like it's way too much. It's way
Me
too
too.
high. And I don't feel good when I'm on my phone this much.
Mhm.
And so I have to pay attention to
Yep.
that. Working with those systems, because again, those systems are responding and telling your body what to do, what to produce. We need these hormones, we need these proteins, we need these amino acids, we need this much energy, and so on and so forth. And so, if you're constantly draining the battery, basically,
Mhm.
through this constant on, and I feel the same way about wearables. Actually, I'm not a fan of wearables for long term use. I think short term data collection, they can be really helpful, but long term use, you have this electrical thing pulsing on you all the time collecting data. So there is
Mm.
interference essentially coming into the system all day long when you have a wearable on. So again, short term data collection, how you're sleeping, those type of things. But in the long run, you need to know for your own body how it's feeling. Like, you know, if you don't sleep well. So what changes do you make then so that you sleep well? Like that's only really to tell you what's going on, but not why. And the why is what's really important, and it's different
Right.
for each person. But that's kind of what my thoughts are on the things going on in the nervous system right now, and that's a huge piece of it.
Yeah. That makes sense. And I wasn't thinking about it bigger than just the volume that we're processing, but also that, right? Like your brain's constantly trying to file it away and put it in a filing cabinet. So I talk a lot about mental gymnastics with my clients, right, Amy, that we're constantly flipping around from subject to
Yes.
subject in our head. The consumption just amplifies that, right? Like we have our own overthinking minds and then the
Yes.
consumption of other things. So and I have noticed, so 2026, it was a big part of my goals. One of my energies for 2026, I picked energies instead of words, was intentional. And so I have been trying to turn down my social media usage. I put a lot of limits on my phone. And I do notice, I know this sounds bizarre, but I do notice like in my meditation practice and things, it is easier to find focus. And I don't think I've even turned it down that much, Amy.
Yes.
Like I would say I've maybe turned it down 20%. And even in just that small thing, like my
Mm-hmm.
focus is stronger when I want to quiet the mind and follow the breath or find, whatever visual I'm looking for, I can hold it for a longer period of time. But that's the biggest shift I've made is turning it
Yes.
off, putting on do not disturb, not letting myself access things before 7 a.m. and after 9 p.m. It's been
Mm-hmm.
really helpful, but I didn't even think about it. I was thinking about it more the mental gymnastics. I wasn't thinking about the actual what you're talking about. So, kind of gives me EBGBs. It makes me want to take my children's Nintendo away and let them stop staring.
Right? I mean, it really, when you really start looking at the entire picture of it, you're like, holy shit. Like
Right.
these things are actually nasty. Like I am in so much appreciation for them, right? Because we get to have this conversation because we have this technology. But at the same time,
Of
like,
course.
damn,
Right.
like these things are
Yeah.
really not good for us. Yeah.
And we wonder why the world weighs 800 pounds, right? Like we have an 800-pound gorilla either standing on our shoulders or sitting on our chest. And so much of this conversation explains that, right? It's both sides. It's the dissatisfaction and the chasing and the more, more, more. And then the look younger, look hotter, be smaller, don't age, don't change. Like you add those two things up and we're like, why the fuck are women in their 40s so unhappy? I don't understand.
I mean,
I'm like,
it's
I think we
everywhere.
have to
We're
stop.
inundated, and for decades, our whole lives.
Yeah, I know. Fuck. I know. I'm like, we're going to be here for the rest of our
Yeah.
lives. We either have to stop now or
Yeah.
we're going to commit to being here for the next like 4 years because I have so many questions. Amy, I'm sure we're going to have to do a part two at some point. Because I think this conversation is when I invited you on the show, when I reached out to you a couple weeks ago, this goes so much deeper. Like when I think of my work, this goes so much deeper than just, like you said, perimenopause. This is really our relationship with our body, right? Like I try to help women have a relationship with themselves and their souls, but our relationship with our bodies are such a big part of that. And how to work with our bodies in a world that has told us there's something wrong with it our whole lives. And so I definitely think we can have some more conversations. But before we wrap today, I know everyone is dying to follow along in your Amy's content is so good, guys. Like please go follow her on social. Where can they find you? Where can they spend more time with you and learn from you, Amy?
So the best place to follow me right now is on my Facebook page. It's Amy Gernaat. So just basically my name. You'll be able to find me from that. And then I have started my Substack. So I'm doing more over on Substack. And then I do plan to. I have a YouTube page. Those are both the Midlife Architect. I have a YouTube channel. There's nothing on it right now. Maybe by the time you all hear this, or if you're hearing this in the future, there's something there now. So I plan to really do a lot more on those two places, but Facebook will always have some rolling content as well as when I am sharing Substack and YouTube, it will be there as well. So that's the best place to follow me because you're going to get the biggest understanding of this work from that page. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like I said, guys, whether it's you or someone like Amy's content is really good and it's made me think, all of my work has made me just think very differently about our medical system, all of those different things, but especially watching this menopause thing happening and being like, why is this such a big deal? And like talking to my mom about it. And she was like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, so I just knew that this conversation would be prudent, that people would find value in it. And it's got my mind going in like 4 million different directions. So, Amy, thank you for your time. Thank you for your heart. Thank you for your candor and your passion. We really, really appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Uncensored Self podcast. If this conversation cracked something open for you, trust that that's the work. And share this episode with a woman in your life who's ready to stop performing and start creating. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave a review. It helps this message reach the women who need it most. Remember, you're the creator. The rules are yours. And your uncensored self, she already knows what to do. Keep leading, keep listening, keep becoming.